What is up, Detroit Sports Nation and Lions fans? Even if you might not claim them after yesterday, we are here to talk all about football, talk about everything there is to talk about here on Beyond the Box. He's Eric Vincent. I'm AJ Reilly. And Eric, we have a bet that we have got to get paid off.
Yes, indeed.
And we are going to have that bet actually paid off by Ricky, who last week said he would jump in the Rouge River if the Lions lost to the Seattle Seahawks. So, Ricky, if you want to go ahead and pay off that bet, man, go for it. The floor is yours.
You guys see me?
We can see you just fine, Ricky. Go for it, buddy. And 3, 2, 1, go. Right into the river. There he goes. Ricky, thank you so much for paying off that bet. You know, I'm thankful that you weren't wearing a pants made of better made potato chips when you did that. So thank you. But Ricky, you've been a longtime friend of the show. You did own up to that bet. You're upside down right now. But we thank you, man. You got anything for Lions Nation out there? One Pride? No. All right,
I think
Ricky.
he's still rattled by how cold that water is.
I think he is too. We'll see you later, Ricky. Thanks for paying off that bet, buddy. All right. Well, that's a way to start a show, Eric, if I'm not mistaken. That is the way to start the show.
There's no fan base more dedicated than Lions fans. We find ways to prove it every week. And shout out to
nobody
Ricky
that is more upset. I think Ricky's there. I'm gonna see if he wants to come back one more
let's see
time.
if we can get him back on.
Ricky, what's up, man? How you feeling? You good? Oh, I think we lost a little bit of audio. We can't hear you so well. So, come on the show next week for us.
Yes,
you
please.
There? All right, buddy. We'll see you next week.
We got you. Dry off, man.
Okay, so there's no better way. I mean, the insanity that these Lions will drive us to is proved. I mean, that is just what it is. Now, I got to say right off the rip, man, like you got to excuse the voice because I was at Ford Field yesterday.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was interesting. What a place to watch a football game. I've been there before to watch a football game. There's not a bad seat in the house.
No.
And it is loud. Like I'm not somebody who just like rah, 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 cheers, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But just talking to my brother sitting next to me, you've got to shout just to be heard. And
absolutely,
it is loud. Now, here's the deal, okay? While we are getting ready to talk about the Lions tonight, we have to remind everybody, make sure that you do not forget to toss your, thoughts, comments, questions, anything like that into the chat as well. But I want to ask this question to the fan base down below because we know that we have the worst defense in the NFL. And so I want to hear what everybody thinks. Did the Lions mess up by trading up to take an injured wide receiver instead of addressing defensive needs at the time? I want to throw your comments up on the screen. Eric, I want to get your thoughts on this while I'm getting some stuff put in because I have my own thoughts that I've shared on this show before.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, and it's a fair question. I saw a lot of this discussion on social media, especially on Twitter. I'm going to say no, it was not a mistake. If we remember how bad this receiving core was even before last year, it was one of the worst in the entire NFL. Jared Goff was literally out there throwing to ducks and high school kids. He didn't have nothing to work with. So considering how bad and how much help that they needed, because even if you look at Jared Goff and how he played with the Rams at that point when he was in LA, he was loaded with talent around him at the wide receiver position. He had receivers that he could rely on and a Todd Gurley in his absolute prime. So if you want to get the best out of Jared Goff, that's what you need to do. And I think they're doing that now. And you see by how well this offense is playing. For sure. I don't think it was necessarily a mistake. I do think that we are finally seeing how bad this defense truly is. But to say that trading up for J-Mo when that was a huge position to need, where his upside is still out of this world, he still complements the rest of the offense perfectly around him. I don't think it was a mistake necessarily, but it's going to be exhausting watching this defense all season based on that.
Yeah, I mean, you score 45 points in an NFL football game, you should expect to win that football game.
No
And
question.
for whatever reason, they didn't make any splashes during free agency. They tried to address it during the draft, but, like, Josh Paschal hasn't been on, a single like, he hasn't made any type of impact being a second round pick. I was very happy, however, to see, Kirby Joseph in the lineup on Sunday.
Yes.
And
Made some
my
nice plays too.
he did make some nice plays, and my brother and I definitely kept, like, looking at him like, "Okay, where's he lined up? How's he playing?"
Mhm.
He give up
Yep.
that first touchdown, which, I understand, all he had to do was get his head around on that first touchdown, he didn't, but this defense is a mess, and I don't wanna harp on the Jameson Williams pick, okay? Ricky, thank you for tuning in, Ricky. That
Did you
water is
dry off yet, bro? Come on, get that towel ready.
water was cold, and I don't wanna but, what's cold too is the talent level on the defense, and
Facts.
that was very, very clear on, um, on Sunday. I don't want to harp on Jameson Williams. I understand the reasoning of going and getting him. The
Mhm.
value I go back to was not great, but I'm not going to criticize a guy that hasn't even taken a snap yet.
Mhm.
Could that have been used in a different sense? Yeah, it probably should have been used to address the defense. But this defense, I don't think one player picked at number 12 in the first round was really going to make that big of a difference on Sunday.
I don't think so.
They were, I mean, I don't know. You watched on TV. Tell me what you saw, and then I'll tell you what I saw being at the game.
It was a whole lot of whiffing. It was a whole lot of misdirection. It was a whole lot of over pursue. It was a whole lot of eagerness off that defensive line. And Geno Smith in that offense saying, "Are you going to do this every time? Okay, Rashad Penny, here you go. Okay, let me just sit back and wait. Okay, let me go scramble up for 8 yards." Like Geno Smith, we saw him. First of all, I didn't know Geno Smith was leading the league in completion percentage. I had no idea until yesterday. And then he still lights it up with the numbers that he put up, along with 50 yards rushing on top of that. It was absolutely brutal. And I, at least from the mindset, thought that if you at least had a persistent and aggressive defensive line, that you could at the very least make up for your back end. We saw some promise with the linebackers. You can see a little bit of promise with some of the DBs, but the D line is really where you're going to establish your rush. And we're going to talk plenty about Hutch. He didn't really make much of an impact. McNeil, I think, has been really disappointing so far, and they haven't really had the plethora of S rushers with Paschal. Okwara, I think, was been hurt for a good portion of the season, so they're just now starting to get some of those guys back. Plus Charles Harris, and they're really, really lacking at this point. Like, real quick before you go, I was talking to my friend, and again, I brought up the idea of bringing in and going all in for a Lamar Jackson. After seeing how bad this defense is now, you don't have the resources and the ability to go make that kind of move anymore. I'm
No.
totally off of that. I'm completely off of that idea at this point.
Totally off of that, and I want to address something as well. Like last week, I was pretty tough on Jared Goff,
Yeah,
but I want to give the man props. Like,
got to. You have
listen,
to.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's the future of this franchise, and I will be very upset, and I will not get off a high horse if they sign him to any type of extension.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, to do what he did with that receiving core yesterday, I still don't think he was great yesterday. I mean, there was an out route that he stared down that was nearly a pick in the second quarter that would have
I know
killed
he's
that
up.
drive. And
Yep.
then there was that long toss to Khalif Raymond to 3 Seahawks defenders that should have also been an interception. And then also the pick six. But when you go 29 for 30, 20, 26 for 39, I think is the correct one, for 378 and 4 touchdowns with that receiving cast, like, he played a good game. And
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna read all about it in my highs and lows tomorrow because Jared Goff, even though I gave him a low last week, he definitely is going to get a high this week
No
because
question.
he deserved it. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
he kept I mean, to one of our contributors' points, who we go back and forth on golf all the time, Golf is the reason that they were in that game. And
Yes.
so I'm going to definitely 100% give him credit for at least doing what he needed to do to at least keep them in the game. It's not his fault that the defense couldn't force a punt. And it's not his fault that the clock operator didn't start the doggone play clock on time to give them a second third down call. I'm telling you, Ford Field about lost their mind in that moment.
I'm mad I didn't hit you up after that because I forgot you were at the game. Tell me what it was like with that play. Because on TV, I'm watching it with Ricky. We were going nuts. What was it like inside of the stadium when that went off?
Yeah, so we're like, it's third quarter, right? They're driving. We've got them like I forget exactly where they were at on the field, but that was the end zone I was sitting in. So I was sitting like
Oh,
right above the tunnel. Okay, so just off to the left of where Rashad Penny scored. But it's third down. We're all hyped. They've got the decibel meter up on the screen, and we're like, hey, third down, whatever. And we made and Seattle's confused. You saw Seattle confused. They run a screen pass that nobody stuck around for the screen pass for,
just
and we
gonna
were
whip
off the
shit on the
field.
side.
And we're like, oh, everybody's going crazy. It's
Right.
fantastic, right? And then the referee gets on, and he's like, we're replaying third down. And everybody lost their ever-loving mind. The amount of curse words that I heard around me at that moment were significant because my brother and myself, we were like, what is happening? Like, how does this consistently happen to the Detroit Lions? Like, no other team does this happen to than the Detroit Lions. Now, come to find out, there was a clock malfunction and they actually made the right call. But in that moment, especially with the ensuing play being a draw play that went for 40 something yards and a touchdown, you're sitting here thinking, how is this even possible?
Were
How is
you
this even possible?
where you don't have a linebacker even on the side of where Rashad Penny ran? You
And let's talk
overload on the
about
wrong side, and he has an easy, untouched run for 60 some yards for a
and
touchdown.
he had two, right? He had one in the fourth
Yes,
quarter, one in the third quarter.
on
He
third
would have
down.
had he would have had a third one in the third quarter had he not tripped
Yes,
over the third
yes.
30-yard line.
Yep.
Like this defense, and it was right from the get-go, right? I'm sitting there watching them, and the first drive, tight end out in the flat. Alex Anzalone is 3 to 4 yards behind that tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Then they do it again, and then they do
Mm-hmm.
it again. I don't know why they didn't run that tight end play action pass every play because our linebackers were not talented enough to cover them. Alex Anzalone played potentially the worst game I've ever seen a linebacker play.
I'm done with him. I'm done with him. He's cooked, bro.
It was awful. And then, not to mention, one of the things that we consistently, my brother and I were sitting at the game, and I'm sitting here watching, like, okay, I go to a game and I'm not just like watching plays. I'm looking at the defensive alignment.
Right.
And we consistently are in a single high safety set with man coverage
Yep.
because our pass rush cannot get home. So we have to send blitzes.
Yep. And you
And
get
I don't know if this
destroyed.
is I don't know if this is an Aaron Glenn thing. I don't know what the problem is with him and his ability to scheme, but he is not doing a very good job.
Horrible job. They
Uh,
said Dan Campbell said that some changes were going to be made. I don't really know what that's going to consist of. They talked about the possibility of moving Hutch inside more, moving Charles Harris inside more, and get creative all you
which
want. That's fine,
which
but
we said in the preseason. Do you remember?
we
We
talked
were
about
like,
that plenty.
this is
Yes,
incredible that they're doing this with Hutch. We haven't seen it once.
exactly, and that's something that you need to have. You can't have your guy. He's not JJ Watt. He can't just line up on one and just overpower. We see that was something. I'm not sure if you saw that other two. He's getting like overpowered by tackles. There were rookie tackles that he's playing against, and he is just getting manhandled by them. Like he's getting shoved inside. Like he kept whiffing and getting over aggressive. Like he made their jobs easy for them. He like I know he had the no tackles last game, but I think this was worse by how he played this game.
See,
Because at the
I
go
don't
ahead, go
think
ahead.
it. I don't think so. I mean, I
I
was
do.
specifically like keying on where he was at every time he was lined up. One thing I did not necessarily like was the fact that he was off the field just about every dog on third down,
Mm-hmm.
even
I did
third
do
and
that.
5. Like
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't make sense. But the overall defensive scheme is just terrible. I mean, we can sit here and we can continue to just blame. But let's look what and I want to hear it in the comments, right? Those of you that are watching, there's a few of you online with us. We hope we can, engage with you a little bit. What was your biggest takeaway from that Lions game yesterday?
Please, we all going
Any
through therapy
positives,
here.
Eric? Any
Uh,
any positives
yeah,
for you?
yeah,
Okay.
because I got took to the woodshed when I put this in my article about how I wanted TJ Hawkinson to have his
Yes.
breakout game. I called it. I'm like, yo, if there's any time for this man to ball out, it has to be right now. I said, if he doesn't, I'm done with him. Everybody went off of me. Oh, you're done with him. Da-da-da. Yeah. This was the first multi-touchdown game of his entire career. Your top 10 tight end. This is his first multi-touchdown game. He had an awesome game. But I said, I even said at the news desk, I would rather trade in those big 50-yard runs that he had for just a couple 15-yard first downs to move the chains. A 3rd and 6 where you stretch over. I forgot who said on the telecast, but they said, Hutchinson is at his best when he's doing 50-50 balls and jump balls. No, he's not.
No.
He did a good
he's
job
not.
of getting open. That's
Yeah.
what he's good at. When he's open, he can catch and run. He is not good at catching in traffic. So he found ways to get open, and I think he was the best performer on offense next to Jared Goff. So I'll give him his credit for what he did. But outside of that, it wasn't a lot of positives to take away.
I have one.
Let's hear it.
Our final drive before halftime, Dan Campbell and the coaching staff, their clock management in that time was perfect.
Okay.
100% exactly how you need to manage that clock.
Yep.
Phenomenal. Yep. Take it down. You're inside 10 seconds. You're at the 1 yard line. You throw a second down from 1 yard line, a second down like rollout pass that's incomplete. Great.
Right.
They're to play another play. There's 8 seconds left.
Cool.
Run the ball from the 1 yard line, get stopped with Jamal Williams. Great. Call timeout because you got it in your pocket. 4th and 1, you're either scoring or going to halftime. Phenomenal. That's exactly what we talked about on the show last week, right?
Exactly. That's
exactly what we talked. We need to see the improvements. We need to see you do something different than what you've done before. And they did it well. So I mean, the offense too, like we could talk about the offense all day long, but this is exactly like the offense is going to be fine. The fact they put up 45 points. Now listen, Seattle's defense is not great. Okay.
No.
But they put up 45 points, and they've scored consistently at will all season long. However, what do we need to do to fix this team?
I feel like exactly what has been the issue was still the issue yesterday. Coaching. It's still it's still coaching. It's still coaching with this team. Like I'm not of the mindset. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say fire Aaron Glenn. It's the 4th game of the season. I'm not going into that. But you're the worst defense in the NFL. You're on notice. If you're at the very least in the 20th defense in the NFL, you're at least 2-2 right now. At least. But you're getting carved up. At the very least, they need to get healthy for one. But the coaching needs to change. Again, I really want to see what these changes are going to be defensively, what they're going to do. Hopefully they have more personnel and talent to take advantage of that. But to me, this has to come down to coaching. You just said we saw the improvements in terms of, game management. Ben Johnson, I think, is going to be up for a head coaching job sooner than later by the way he's doing. He's been awesome.
I hope not.
I hope not too, but he's been awesome right now.
I want to give a shout out to my brother here, Matt, who was at the game with me yesterday. He was also with me at the Big House for the first night game, Notre Dame versus Michigan.
I was at that game.
Were you there too?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was at that game. Okay.
So he said more electric atmosphere yesterday at Ford Field or Michigan Notre Dame. Like, listen, Ford Field was great yesterday, but Michigan Notre Dame is. Listen, I tell people that if I was not already a religious person in my life, that game specifically would be the most spiritual moment I've ever had, right? Yeah. And it truly was Michigan Notre Dame. So, like, that's not even really debatable. We're talking about a classic rivalry versus an NFL game week 4. So,
and one team actually won that you were rooting for. So you didn't have to go home sad and like have the awkward ride home where you're quiet.
I didn't come home sad, but I was hoping that we could come on here and talk about a win today.
You would think this was going to be
the week. I'm getting tired of talking about losses, man.
Yes.
Like, and especially a win when your offense played good. And here's the other thing too, right? If it weren't for that 50-yard run by Jamal Williams, the offensive line really struggled. Like, I don't think they played that great this week.
Yeah.
A lot of offsides, holding penalties. Goff was running for his life on numerous occasions. And if it weren't for that 50-yard run, Jamal Williams averages less than 4 yards a carry.
Facts. I'm
So
with you on that.
it's you know, I I'm trying not to be negative on the offense because you put up 45 points, right? And I'm not going to be negative when you put up 45 points. But this defense has got to change. Has
Yeah.
got to change. And again, I'm going to ask everybody watching, if you could fix one thing on this defense, what would it be? Ricky has this answer right here. He says, I need linebackers who can cover the flats.
You know
Yes, for
what?
crying out loud.
Me and him talked about this because Rodriguez has gotten a lot of credit, but I feel like a lot of credit that he has been given have been plays that don't have nothing to do with the play at hand. Like I want to see more. Like I put it in the article. Like
Explain.
I want to see.
Explain.
I want to see more splash plays that actually impact the game. Like, yes, we're gonna fall in love with the like. It's kind of like the Dan Campbell thing, the
Like
rah rah
forcing a
energy
fumble
thing.
on the first punt that we had.
That is what I wanted to see. Yes, I don't care about you hip checking Kelsey. Like that don't mean nothing to me. It looks cute on Twitter, but it didn't really impact the game, bro. Like I want to see some splash plays. Same with Hutch. Y'all can't just like it has to be more than you just plugging holes. Like the impact has to be there too. It has to be something that matches, and I didn't really see enough in the linebacking core. So I'm with you on Anzalone. He's cooked at this point. I'm done with him. And
Yeah.
Rodriguez needs to keep taking some steps forward and run support and in coverage as well.
My problem with that, specifically the linebackers, is what did you do to address the linebackers this offseason? You went and got Deshaun Elliott, who I thought, again, Deshaun Elliott, I thought he played a good game.
Yep.
But the problem with where they have Deshaun Elliott lined up is he's 5-6 yards off the ball.
Right.
What help can he be in coverage?
No.
And here's the other thing too that just it had escaped my mind, but consistently Seattle's in 3rd and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Owarie is Okuda's up pressing.
Yep.
Owarie's 7 yards off his receiver.
Yes. Yep.
So I don't know what it looked like on TV, but my brother and I turned to each other and we said, those 6 penalties from last week are in his head.
Oh,
Do you think that
100%.
he was playing scared this week?
No question. No question. Because he didn't have an easy matchup. It's not like he was taking on some bum as their second receiver. Tyler Lockett's a very good receiver. He's shifty like Thielen. He has good hands. If you're lining up off him, and there were even sometimes he was playing against DK Metcalf, where he was again lining off, and it's either a quick release for Geno Smith or he's waiting just long enough where he can go scramble and convert on 3rd down. So yeah, you could clearly see it was in his head that he was discouraged from those penalties.
But all of those scrambles for first downs came against man coverage.
Yep.
Because you created a lane, guys have their heads turned away from the quarterback, and you've got lanes to run. I mean, it's one of those situations where if it's broken, fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not adjust at halftime. And Penny even came out and said, I don't remember the exact quote, but did you see the quote from Rashad Penny?
No, what do you don't remember?
He said, we knew we could take advantage of bad looks, and we got bad looks all day long.
And that's
you
what
want
it
to
is
talk
again.
about. You want to talk about like not doing your job as a coach. Like, where's the wrinkle? Where's the Hutchinson inside? Where are the twists? Where are the stunts? You know, on that deep ball to Tyler Lockett, somebody pointed out to me because I didn't see it real time, but somebody pointed out to me they sent Deshaun Elliott, but he blitzed from like 10 yards deep.
Exactly. So
what good does that do?
Exactly. If you're not gonna put him at the edge or at least like 5 yards up, like what's he gonna do? He's not a 4-1 runner. Like what are you gonna do with that?
it's so, and I've been saying since yesterday, the scheme defensively has got to change because what Aaron Glenn is doing is he's consistently putting below average NFL players. And when I say below average NFL players, they're still really good football players. They're in the freaking NFL. But for the NFL level, they're below average. His scheme is consistently putting below average players on islands.
Right.
And they can't compete.
Yep.
You've got to find a way to get those guys off islands and get them help.
I feel like 2 things are true in this situation. You were just talking about it. I keep talking about the experience because people are saying, oh, is it a matter of not having enough talent or is it the coaching? I think it's a matter of both, honestly.
I think
the inexperience of this coaching is being exposed drastically by the opponents. And then these players are below average. You have maybe 3 guys that you can rely on consistently for right now. Hutch, Rodrigo, and a hurt Tracy Walker. And then Okuda, of course. But I mean, like outside of that,
But
Who else are you
Okuda
keeping right
got
now?
exposed yesterday.
And I'm okay with that because he's been
He
playing
did.
his behind off all season. I wasn't
He
expecting him
did.
to be prime time all year. I'm
No,
okay with that.
he got exposed. And DK's comments earlier in the week held true that
Mm-hmm.
he's really good when he's got a safety over the top, and he's not as good when he doesn't, which bared out to be true. I mean, DK burned him at least 2 times, maybe even 3 times. Dre Johnson, you say, what about the fast little guy? He's pretty good. Can you give me a more specific fast little guy?
Is that Tyler
I
Lockett?
I don't know if you're talking about. He says, I gotta say, if the Lions lose to New England with Patricia on their offense, AG must be removed.
And
That's
Ricky, if that happens, I'll jump in the water with you,
that
bro.
that
If we lose to
wasn't
them,
that wasn't Ricky. That was Joseph.
right. But if
Okay,
Ricky's still watching, I'll jump in with you next time, bro. Because we cannot lose to
we're gonna
Patricia-led
be
offense, yo.
we are gonna be live on location from the Rouge River if this is the
Yeah,
case. My goodness.
it's gonna
Okay,
be our new
all
site, our
right.
new
I'll
remote
just
site.
make plans now because listen, I I don't even know. Let's transition to next week, right? You've got the New England Patriots coming into town, and they are led by at Patricia on offense. Now, what do we have going on? How is this going to work for the Lions? What do the Lions need to do to win against New England?
Was in New England, and at this moment, I think Brian Hoyer is still going to be their quarterback. I don't think Mac Jones is going to be ready to play next week or
Well,
this week.
Brian Hoyer also went out of the game
That's
with an
true. That's right. They
injury.
brought in the rookie who replaced him. That's right. So at this point, he has a chance to join the Geno Smiths, the Matt Flynn's, the Mitch Trubisky's, who just make a career out of playing against the Detroit Lions. Get home, get a sack, make some plays on defense. You don't have to be the 85 Bears, but you got to make these guys punt at least 2. Geno Smith's offense didn't punt 1 time yesterday. Can you get off the field a few times? The one time they did was the clock management issue, but you got to be able to get off the field against an offense as bad as the Patriots.
Joseph, you say you're new to the show. Well, we want to say welcome. And we
Welcome,
hope
Jeff.
that you can tune in every Monday night at 7 o'clock. You comment all you want, mention all you want about whatever, because we're here. In the last couple of weeks, it's just been a therapy session for a lot of us, right? Because it's been a struggle. And so, welcome, Joseph, to the show. Thank
We
you for your
appreciate you.
comments. You
Yes,
are
sir.
right. I mean, when you are playing the New England Patriots and potentially playing against their third string quarterback, Bailey, is it Zappy or Zapparoo? I don't know what his name is, right?
Zippity doodah,
But
whatever.
Zippity Doodah, when you're playing against Zippity Doodah, you have to get a win. Now, here's a little bit for you, okay? The Patriots are 1-3. They have 74 points scored this season and have given up 98 points. The
Wow.
Lions are also 1-3, miserably 1-3, have scored 140 points and have given up 141. They have given up the most points. I heard on the post-game show yesterday. They have, and before I get to this, I just also want to say welcome to Joseph. You just caught this as well. We're here every Monday night at 7
lot of
o'clock. Make
Josephs
sure
here
you're
today.
commenting. We would love to talk football. But I will say this. I heard this on the post-game show yesterday. This is the most points given up by one team through 4 games in NFL history. This is the worst defense of all time so far. So if you want to beat the New England Patriots, then you've got to play like the 2 quarters you played against Washington and not the rest of the however many quarters you've played against everybody else, because you've only had 2 good quarters on defense so far this year.
That's it.
The first half against Washington.
Yep.
That's it.
And that's looking like a fluke at this point. And we didn't want to believe that. We wanted to believe that Hutch was turning a corner, that the rest of the D-line was putting it together. Nah, it doesn't look like it right now.
And I'm going to be very clear about this. I think Hutchinson has so much pressure on him right now. Like, his job is to get sacks. I understand that, but he's not going to get 3 sacks every game.
Of course not.
Okay? He's just got to make an impact.
Yes.
And he makes an impact by drawing double teams, but that doesn't make an impact if the other guys aren't winning as well.
Exactly.
I mean, a number of times on those step ups that Geno Smith was running, and then he'd run for however many yards and pick up a first down. Our
Yep.
defensive line, the angle of attack for our defensive lines is our end specifically is way too wide. They're
Yes.
pushing the pocket so high, they're actually running into each other,
Yep.
and that makes an easy escape for a quarterback.
Yep.
It is awful. And Joseph, Joseph, I'm going to go with this one, then the next one. But Joseph said they will force 1 or 2 punts next week. I hope so.
And who knows
They
what that'll
have to.
mean? Right.
Yeah, they have to force punts. I don't know what else. I mean, at the end of the day, you have got to get off the field on defense.
Create some turnovers, something like y'all. There's no
Create
splash
some
plays. There's no
turnovers. Yeah,
nothing.
I mean, and the offense has to do their job too. The offense, in the first quarter, Geno Smith drives them down. And I looked up on the clock. That first drive for the Seahawks took 7 minutes.
Right.
What did the offense proceed to do? 3 and out.
3 and outs. Yep.
They went and took a 3 and out, which is
Mhm.
not great. Now,
No.
it was overlooked because they forced a fumble on that first punt. But the defense has got to find a way to get off the field so that the offense can do what the offense does. And they just were not able to do that at all.
And that's where I think the lack of talent comes in, because they're coming in with this defense as a bunch of young guys with no real identity. Like, we don't know if they're a run stopping team. We don't know
This is a
what they're really
legit
made
point.
of.
It's a legit point.
Yeah.
Kaminsky
Yeah.
being out is a bigger deal than we thought, and that's proving to be true.
He's
So
been he's
hopefully he can get better quicker. So, all right, let's
Mhm.
talk. We've kind of started to talk about next week. Give me your thoughts on the game and make a prediction.
I think this should be a game they take care of business. I feel like they should be able to outscore the Patriots. I feel like this team, even with their run game, like, I'm not that impressed with what they've produced in the run game. I know they've, had a couple guys. They got like a little running back tandem with Harris and another guy. They're
Ramondre
fine.
Stevenson.
Stevens, yes, thank you. You should still be able to put some points up against them. I do believe hopefully Amon-Ra's back. Hopefully DJ Shark wakes up and finally is able to make some plays. I'm not confident in this at all, but I'll say the Lions etch out a close one against the Patriots on the road. I think they'll have enough disdain for Patricia to keep them motivated to win this game.
I I would like to think that they'd have enough disdain for Patricia, but he traded away everybody that hated him. So I don't know if there's anybody left that
Yeah, who was like
actually.
Okuda's like the last guy, right? I don't even know who was the
He
guy.
may, yeah,
That's
maybe.
a good Google. We'll check that out after.
We'll
How many
have to check
Patricia
that
guys are
out,
left?
but look, at the end of the day, there's gotta be, and I think Joseph kinda hits the nail on the head, right? Chris Harris needs to step up, Bryant needs to take advantage of Hudson being double teamed. They've gotta stop them on third downs. You're stating the obvious, Joseph, but sometimes the obvious answer is the best answer, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? I think
Right.
that's some philosophical thing called Achman's razor or something like that. The simplest solution is the best solution. And
Okay.
that is it, right? Like, get the defensive line to make some kind of doggone impact.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, that has got to be what happens. And so here's the deal. If you are playing against a third string quarterback, and news, as far as I know, has not come out about whether Brian Hoyer is going to be out or not. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are playing a third string quarterback, and it's not just a third string quarterback, it is a rookie third string quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
you have got to make him as uncomfortable as possible, which means, first and foremost, you don't let their run game get started.
No.
Because if you let the run game get started and they are allowed to just turn around and hand the ball off and not expose the quarterback to much peril, then you're going to lose this game.
100%.
You have to make Bailey Zippity Doodah throw the ball 25 to 30 times
Make him
a
beat you.
game. You
Yep.
have to make him beat you.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't mean bring a zero freaking blitz in man coverage every doggone opportunity you can. Get creative. Drop a zone blitz once in a while. There was one time in the game yesterday where the Seahawks schemed so well that they ended up with DK Metcalf isolated on Okora.
Oh my gosh.
And it was the one that DK dropped over the middle. Like, he was
Oh
open.
yeah, yep. I think
Yeah,
it was a
and
second down play.
Okora
Yeah,
was in coverage. Like, those are the types of things that you've got to game plan for, and you've got to make sure that things like that do not happen, because that would have been a play that I was circling on my play sheet as a play caller and being like, yeah, we're going to go back to that. And we're going to go back to that quite a few times, because if Okora is in coverage on DK Metcalf, we're winning that battle 9 times out of 10. They just got that one time right now.
well, you know they're
And
watching
so
that film. Yeah, New England is definitely studying what happened. They're gonna try to take advantage, and again, they know roster wise. I don't think they're looking at we're just superior athletes to this team. They're gonna try to scheme and use X's and O's to beat them, and that's what's been killing the Lions all season.
apparently our comedy is not very good, because
I'm
they're
sorry,
tired.
Zippy.
My brother
Zippy.
specifically is tired of the zippity doo comments. So it's Zappy. Bailey Zappy. I
Mm,
still think Zippity
I
Doodah is
don't
a
care. Yes,
better name. So
if you got
limit
a
the
problem
run
with us, you
game.
can come beef with us. I don't care. Whatever.
Limit the run game. Make sure that Bailey Zappy beats you if you're going to lose at all. But let unleash the offense. I mean,
Please.
look, at the end of the day, sustained drives keep the it can also work in the reverse, right? If you don't want their running game to get started to expose, you know, their quarterback, then
Hmm.
why don't we look to sustain drives to not expose our awful defense,
Exactly.
right?
Keep
Look
them
to
off the
dominate
field.
time of possession. If you can stay on and have those nice, like, sustained drives that are 5 to 6 to 7 minutes long, and keep the defense off the field and limit their exposure, you could go into Foxborough and win a game.
Yeah, the Lions are not
And
sitting up here like in like. Sorry to me to cut you off, but
no,
they
you're
missed
good.
DeAndre Swift. But Jamal Williams is playing some damn good football right now, and I like Reynolds backing him up as another complimentary back to him. That works. You can use them plenty enough to keep the offense off the field. You should have did that against the Vikings, and you should do that against the Patriots next week.
Ricky, I love you, but Rex Burkhead will not be a problem next week because he plays for the Houston Texans.
That's right. I know their
Okay.
jerseys look the same, bro, but it's
They do
okay.
look the
It's
same.
all right.
Joseph said the losses suck, but the way the Lions lose, this is forever in 48 years as a fan. And don't get me started on the ref. We've already addressed the ref, Joseph. And look, at the end of the day, they weren't great. The third down call was the third down call, and it was determined that they did actually get that correct. But there was a lot. I mean, just the little things, right? We get this huge momentum play, and they've got to talk about something for 2 to 3 minutes, which just kills everything.
Yes. And
Like, that kind of stuff, like, it goes unnoticed and is never going to show up in a box score, but it is huge.
crushing. I knew it
Huge.
was bad because after that score, there was a penalty that was on Seattle, but the crowd was so pissed that the refs were just talking in general that they booed and drowned them out. Even though the penalty was helping the Lions, they were still just
Oh, I
mad and
remember
didn't want
that.
to hear
Yeah.
anything from them.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
oh,
illegal contact. I want you to
yes,
take this
yeah.
one. So, Matt asked, he said he had to start for the game. What are your thoughts on Julian Okwara opposite Hutch instead of Charles Harris? Your
At this
thoughts?
at this point, yeah, I'm okay with it. You need to be throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. Like, I'm okay with Dan Campbell saying that there's some changes that need to come up. I'm okay with that. I think um Julian will be able to have some upside. I mean, people haven't been able to scheme for him yet. And again, if Hutch is taking this much attention, somebody, it's Charles Harris, like McNeil, somebody has to be able to take advantage. You all can't be getting limited on that line. And if you're blitzing and getting limited that way too, like somebody has to be making an impact off of that. And so I'm okay with giving him a shot to see what happens.
I'm totally okay with just shuffling everything and see what happens. Like,
At this
you
point,
got to, at a certain point, trial
you,
and error.
you're the worst
Trial, like,
defense in the league.
you're the worst defense in
You
the
don't have a
league. Yeah,
choice.
it's gotta be something. But you know what,
Yes.
Eric? I'm kind of done talking about losses. So they've got to win this week. And we've
Yes.
got to get to a point where they win this week. So, do you mind telling the people about gearupdetroit.shop?
Absolutely. Yep, I can do that. If you hit up our website right now, make sure you check us out, gearupdetroit.shop. We got some great new threads, some clean new attire. If you look on the site right here, some cool shirts for Jeff or for Jared Goff, some nice, awesome Lions gear, some One Pride gear for us. You can get 25% off by using the coupon code BTB25 off. That's Beyond the Box 25% off. You see how clean these are. You're getting ready for the fall. It's getting cold outside. These are the right threads you want to be wearing. And don't worry, it will not be for any of the bums that were responsible on the defense. We are just keeping it for offensive players for now. So go
And
ahead and check that out.
I've got mine on right now, right?
Okay.
We're treading water until we bury you. The quote from Hard Knocks, that's on there. So make sure you do check that out. Let's talk now about Michigan football. Okay. And the Michigan Wolverines go into Kinnick Stadium in Iowa, a place that they have not traditionally won at. In fact, Jim Harbaugh was 0-4 lifetime going into the game on Saturday. And they come away with a victory, 27-14. What was your takeaway? What'd you think? Michigan football.
I don't like
I know you
doing this.
love Michigan football.
I hate
You
it. I hate
specifically
this.
love Jim Harbaugh.
I gotta
go for it, man.
I gotta be objective. I can't lie. Listen, I don't expect Michigan to be perfect. I didn't think they would be, and there was a lot of things that was unsold on with this team. But what they're repeating from last season is giving me encouragement that they're for real. They have NFL players on that defensive line. And you saw it. They were taking possessions over in the second half by themselves. They were just hitting, bringing the stops. Like they were limiting Iowa a lot offensively. They got in, and that's what I want. Go back to the Lions, but this is what you want to see. Dominant defensive lines make all the difference in the world. Excuse me. And seeing that kind of pressure being able to resonate, it helped them create turnovers in games before. And I think this is what's going to carry them into the success that they're going to have throughout the Big Ten. I like what I saw from McCarthy. I like what I'm seeing from Corum. He's a absolute dog still.
That move that he put on that dude in the hole to seal.
Hey,
Oh
Mike Hart, he might have a son. He looks a lot like him. Not even just his build, but his running style. He's got to love coaching him. I love what I see from him out the backfield. Michigan looks like serious business right here. So I'm really buying a lot of stock of what I see from him.
Yeah, and so here's the question, right? And this is kind of something I want to hear thoughts from the crowd on as well. Based on what you've seen from Michigan through 5 games, can they stay undefeated going into Ohio State? And remember, Ohio State is going to be at Ohio State this year. And it looks like it could be a top 5 matchup at the end of the season. Again, if everything holds true. What I love about Saturday is J.J. McCarthy didn't light up the scoreboard. But he did enough.
Yeah.
He played well enough to win. And if you got a run game that's as solid as Michigan's run game against one of the better Big Ten defenses that they are going to see. I mean, this was literally, and somebody likened it to this in the earlier in the week, it was an unstoppable force of the Michigan offense versus an unmovable object. You know, that big philosophical question as well in the Iowa defense. And the unstoppable force won out at the end of the day. You know, Iowa's clearly held back by their offense and their inability with Petrus as their quarterback to push the ball downfield and make plays and score. I think they scored their second or third touchdown all season. I mean, that's probably a wrong stat, but it's close. It's not very far off. But Michigan did exactly what Michigan needed to do against a defense that may be one of the tougher ones that they'll see all season long. Ohio State's defense is not as good as Iowa's.
No.
Penn State's defense, I don't think, will be as good as Iowa's, even though they do have Joey Porter Jr. out there who looks like a stud at Penn State. But can they stay undefeated, Eric? Do you think that they can stay undefeated until they get to Ohio State?
Sadly, I do. I really do. I'm not really impressed with a lot of the teams I'm seeing that they got coming up. Michigan State's on a downslide. Even when they do got to play Penn State on the 15th, like they're playing at home, and Michigan has been holding serve at home beautifully all season. Michigan State is going to be the Spartans when they go to Ann Arbor. That's their Super Bowl. They're going to leave everything out that game. And I think if they're able to survive those two, I think they'll be undefeated by the time they get to Ohio State. I don't see a whole lot of resistance that they're going to see from Rutgers, Nebraska, or Illinois, turns out towards the end of the season. So we always get this kind of dramatics between Michigan and Ohio State towards the end of the year. And I think we're just going to see the repetition of that again. I think they're going to go undefeated. I do.
Yeah, I don't really see I haven't seen enough from Penn State to really be, a challenge for Michigan. I mean, it's always a challenge, Penn State, but um I'd take Jim Harbaugh over James Franklin any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Um Indiana this week, not going to be a huge test. Um but you got to look at these like trap games too, right?
Yeah.
I've got Michigan's schedule um pulled up here. Yeah, Indiana this week, Penn State at home, Michigan State at home,
Yep.
and then at Rutgers, and then Nebraska at home. The two games that worry me are at Rutgers and Nebraska at home. And the reason why they worry me is coming off of Penn State and Michigan State. Those are
Okay.
bit those are the at Rutgers game specifically is a trap game for Michigan.
Okay.
You've
Okay.
played Penn State at home in a maze out. You've played your rival, who always plays you tough, regardless if their secondary is Swiss cheese or not.
Mm-hmm.
They play you tough. You got those two highly competitive games, and then you go to New Jersey to play Rutgers. That could be a trap game.
Yeah.
I think Michigan will ultimately prevail because I just think we're way more talented than Rutgers is. But those games, and then Nebraska has nothing to play for and nothing to lose,
Mm-hmm.
and they shouldn't be as bad as what they were under Scott Frost.
That's
So
true.
it's going to be very interesting to see how they handle those two games. I think they win in Indiana. I think they beat Penn State. I think that they're going to beat Michigan State as well. My worry is going to be what happens when you get to Rutgers and what happens. Joseph said the run game setting up other weapons as well. Yeah, Ohio State will be the test on the road. I think you're
No
absolutely
question.
right, Joseph. 100%. No doubt about that.
Yeah, but
So
they've
we're
shown.
going two undefeated teams in Columbus. You here for that?
I'm here for it. I think it'll be good. I mean, we both kind of feel the same about Stroud. I don't really buy a whole lot into him, honestly. I feel like Michigan's defense can put some pressure on him, even in Ohio State. I think that
Yeah.
defensive line is going to give them some problems. And they show that they don't have to be perfect to win. Now, granted,
No.
it's not against the competition like what
The
they're going to
elite.
see at
Yeah.
Ohio State, but I kind of think they're the better team at this moment right now because of how they're playing on both sides of the football. So, yeah, I'm really high on what I'm seeing from Michigan right now.
I am too. It's gonna be exciting. They got Indiana this Saturday. It's gonna be Fox's big noon kickoff. So make sure you are tuning in for that. And before we get to our NFL picks, I do want to just remind everybody that wherever you are at on social media, make sure that you're following Detroit Sports Nation right there on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. And you can also follow Beyond the Box on Twitter. It's brand new live as of what, like last week, right,
Oh,
Eric?
yeah. Fresh
It's
out. That's
brand new
right.
live at Beyond the Box DSN on Twitter. If you want to interact there, make sure you throw us a follow. We will be having some contests and other things of that nature that go on, and we just like to talk sports. So
Yeah, we're
anytime you want to hop in, jump on.
so frustrated about the Lions. We had to make a whole new Twitter page about it. That's where we at this point of the season.
Yeah, that is essentially where we are at. So let's get to yeah, I think Joseph, before we move on from Michigan, I think Joseph has hit the nail on the head.
Totally agree.
Jim has put together a staff at Michigan.
Hmm.
And the proof is in the pudding when your guys are being recruited to be head coaches, move up from offensive assistant to offensive coordinator at other programs. That is a very, very, very um good point by Joseph.
Hmm.
My brother does want to know this. Is there any way that we can get Arrogance and Michigan Heat if they win the Big Ten this year?
I'm in heat already. I'm having to be objective and give them credit. Ain't this enough heat for me, man? What else do you want to see me do? This hurts. I don't want to do this.
I think we might have to do a show with you. If they win the Big Ten, you might need to be in like all Michigan gear.
Uh,
Maybe actually, this is what I want to see. And we're gonna make this bet right now since you made me do the TikTok bet. If
oh
Michigan
gosh.
wins the Big Ten this year, you have to do a show fully dressed like Jim Harbaugh.
Oh gosh. I gotta dress like a 50-year-old goofy dad
Yeah,
from
I
the
want to see the
suburbs. Okay.
khakis. I want to see the football cleats. I want to see the dark blue pullover with the Michigan hat and glasses. Can you do it?
I'll
If
try.
they win the Big
Hey,
Ten, come on, man.
hey, just give me your closet. I'll just go through your closet before that week, and I'll just wear whatever I have to. I'm sure you got some khakis in there somewhere. I can pull that off.
I do have khakis.
Of
You are
course you do. Of
correct.
course you
Yes.
do.
Yes. Yeah. See, look,
Uh,
everybody's agreeing with me. Ricky agrees with
uh,
me. Matt agrees with me. They all think that it. All right. Are we shaking on it? We're shaking on it. You're going to
yeah,
dress as
come
Jim
on, let's
Harbaugh.
do it. Let's
All
do
right.
it. I got you.
All right.
Yep.
That's our bet. There we
Uh,
go. That is
God
perfect. So
damn you, Matt.
let's do
Why,
this.
Matt?
Let's thanks. I appreciate it. Let's get to our picks and we're getting to our last segment because we are almost out of time here. We got 5 games on the docket for us to pick.
Yep.
Thursday night, Indianapolis at Denver Broncos. Who you got?
I hate both of these teams. I'm gonna go with they both just lost they touted running backs. I'll go with the Broncos. Like I hate both teams, but they at least have Melvin Gordon going behind Javonte Williams, who just tore his ACL.
Yeah, who
I
got
don't love anything
negative
the Colts
1.2 fantasy points last week?
killing my other team right now. Killing
Who?
me. But
Melvin Gordon?
no. Javonte, he hasn't done
Yeah.
anything for this
Yeah,
team. It's
I lost
killing
him
me.
in 2 leagues, pal. I don't want to hear
Ugh,
it. And I
well,
lost Cordarrelle Patterson in 2 leagues this week. This
good.
is
I'm
not
tired
a
of you
good.
talking about him. Like, whatever.
Hey, who has the third most or second
Make
most
your
points in
pick.
our
Go
league?
make your pick. Jesus.
I got Denver. New York Giants at the Green Bay Packers. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Green Bay. I like what Saquon's resurgence has been, but the rest of that offense is horrible. I would go with Green Bay.
Hey, Daniel Jones had what 70 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns on Sunday. I'm actually going to take the Giants in this one. I'm going to take
Hmm.
them. I don't think the Packers are what we think the Packers are, so
You
I'm
think
going to take the
Galladay's gonna have
Giants.
a? You think Galladay's gonna have a
No,
Detroit type
absolutely not.
performance? Okay,
Absolutely not.
then.
He's going to go through week 5 with only 2 catches and be the
Right.
most overpaid. I mean, Matthew Stafford made that guy more money for less talent than anybody in the history of the
Facts.
NFL.
Facts.
Los Angeles Chargers at the Cleveland Browns.
Chargers. I think Keenan Allen's supposed to be coming back.
Yeah,
The Browns are
Justin
a
Herbert,
mess.
too
Yeah,
good.
give me the Chargers.
Sunday night, Las Vegas at Kansas City.
That's easy, actually. Chiefs. I love what the Chiefs are at. Mahomes about to win MVP. Let's go with the Chiefs.
I just made a trade for Derek Carr, so I'm going to take the Raiders. You're going to see that
No.
I picked based on my fantasy team because I want to see them
Oh,
work
that's
hand
what
in
this
hand.
is?
Yeah,
Oh, that's all.
I do
That's
it
the
all the time.
strategy.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
why would I not double dip and be right most of the time? All right, and our final game, 5th game, is Detroit at New England. Who you got?
I'm gonna go the Lions by 6. I would say they win a shootout and maybe another ugly defensive performance. I'm gonna go with the Lions in a close one.
I'm gonna go with the Lions too because I if they lose to a Matt Patricia led offense, I'm going to freaking lose my mind
We're not gonna
on
talk. We
Monday.
just gonna sit in this
It
camera for 5
is
minutes just fuming. We're not even gonna start the show.
so bad. Okay, so here is a new segment that we're gonna bring out, and I'm sure if you've been on TikTok, you have seen this before. But we thought it would be great to bring to our fans and see you guys interact as well. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw up a graphic of a career, somebody's career from where they went in college to where they've played in the NFL. It could be a current player, it could be somebody that is recently retired, but you're going to get all their teams. You can make your comments and your suggestions and picks in the comments so that we can get this. But I've come up with a player. Eric has no idea who it is. Eric has come up with a player. I have no idea who it is. I'm going to throw mine up first for you, Eric, and I
Okay.
will go through and I will read the teams for you so you can be thinking. If you need a hint at some point, we can give the position away. That's it.
That's it? Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
So I'm going
Okay.
to throw the first one up for you, Eric. Here you go. This is my guy here. He got drafted out of Oregon State by the New Orleans Saints. He then made his way to New England and played for the Patriots, then the Los Angeles Rams, and now he plays for the Houston Texans. I just gave you a huge hint. Don't
Oh,
forget that
okay.
in the chat, you can throw your guesses in there.
Yep. I know who it is. I think I got it now.
And your guess, Eric, is
One of my favorite fantasy receivers of all time, Brandon Cooks.
that
Did
is
wonders for me a few
correct.
years ago. There we go. Okay.
Ricky, you were correct. Matt, you were correct as
Okay.
well. And Ricky was going to yell at you, I think, because he's typing in all capital letters. Eric,
He's one
it
of
is
those.
Cooks. Make
He
sure that
screams
you
as he
have
texts.
Cooks.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that. So that was mine. Good job.
Okay,
Did it
okay.
make sense? Because you were
Yeah,
confused at first.
I
You were like,
was, I
I have
was, but
no
the
idea.
Texans, yeah, the Texans and the Rams gave it away. I'm okay, got it. I know exactly who we're talking about
All
now.
right,
Okay,
here we
there
go.
we
Here's
go.
our last one for the night. Eric, this is the one that you came up with. Go ahead and explain it to me.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we have a grad of North Carolina went on to play for the St. Louis Rams,
Okay.
moved on to play for the Detroit Lions, then became a member of the Denver Broncos, and actually played. He actually went then to the Niners, and then he came back to the Lions for a brief moment.
I know. Did he play on the St. Louis Rams when they won their Super Bowl? He was part of the greatest show on turf.
I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did. Yes.
It can't be
Let me
Theo
double
Riddick
check.
because it's
Let me check.
not Theo Riddick,
Let me
Ricky,
double
because
check on that.
we drafted Theo Riddick, so it can't be Theo Riddick. But his
No,
name,
it's not the
uh, uh,
Riddick.
shoot, I can't. Oh, Joseph, I think is right. Is it Tahir Whitehead?
It is not Tahir Whitehead.
Okay, it's
Mm-mm.
not Tahir Whitehead. Okay,
Nope.
is he a receiver?
No.
He's not a receiver.
And
Okay,
they're
crap.
thinking too current. Go back a little bit more. Go back a little bit more.
I'm trying to. Oh no, it can't be him either because we drafted the kid out of Duke, the guard out of Duke. Um, okay, you gotta tell me offense or defense.
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 Mm-hmm.
So the Rams, then the Lions, then
Very
the
good at his
Broncos.
position. Very, very good at his position during his era.
Oh, Dre Bly.
Ding, 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 ding. There you
Yeah.
go. There it
Yes.
is. Yes.
Yes. I
My man
got it.
Dre
After
Bly. Yes.
you were mine was way too easy, apparently.
Yeah, I thought mine was gonna be the easier one. I thought you were gonna get that off the rip.
No, man, that's tough if you don't know
That
the
was spicy.
positions.
Okay,
That was good. I
okay.
really, man, that was good. Yes, I was correct. It was Dre Bly.
Yes, sir.
But Joseph, you put up Whitehead. Thank you for giving me at least getting me to think through. I was thinking about the wide receiver. I can't. Is it Oz Hakeem?
Ooh, but they kind of played around the same team or the
Yeah.
same era with each other. So
But
that was
he
a good
came.
guess.
I think that's his name, right? That came from the
Azahir
Rams.
Hakim. Yep.
Yeah, Azahir
The kick
Hakeem. That's who
returner.
I
Yeah.
thought it was for
Yep.
sure. That's who I thought it was.
That wouldn't have been a
But
bad guess.
that would not have been a bad guess, but I couldn't think of his name. That's why I was like freaking out for a second. But
Yep.
anyway, great job. Great job. This has been Beyond the Box. We will be back with you guys again next Monday night at 7 o'clock. I am AJ Reilly. He's Eric Vincent, and we have our fingers crossed in hopes for a Lions victory against their former head coach, Matt Patricia, who is the offensive coordinator at the New England Patriots. And if you let this guy beat you again, look, if I'm Dan Campbell, that's all I'm talking about. This dude wrecked
That's
Detroit.
it.
You go up and you represent for Detroit in
You
New
have
England.
to.
That would be the message all week long. We will see how it goes. And as Ricky says, and we'll just end our show here. Dear God, Lions, please. Yeah,
Please.
because Ricky does not want to jump into any more rivers. I don't think. Ricky, I do want to again thank you for paying up on your bet. You guys can check that
My
out in the
dog.
clips tomorrow because it'll be there. We appreciate everybody who was here. Make sure that you guys stick or are here next Monday night at 7 o'clock. We will be back live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Facebook. We are here because we apparently love pain when it comes to talking about football, but we'll be here because we love being here with you guys. Eric, have a great week, and we will be back next Monday. This is Beyond the Box. He's Eric. I'm AJ. See ya.
Yes, sir.